They know I don't play defense, but I was a shooter.
Melissa Olson grew up in Sioux Falls, where, like her future
for South Dakota as well, Trey Birch-Manning in his fourth game back from a foot injury. Brad still trying to get back into shape, but you certainly see the value he brings since coming back from that injury.
No doubt. I mean, they missed his leadership so much when he was out those 4 games, and to have him back in the lineup means so much for this team, not only offensively but defensively, because he's a guy, Jay, that can match up and can guard a lot of different positions.
Our Montgomery's coaching comparison tonight. Darren Hansen in his 14th season on the bench in Omaha. He's 219 and 197. Coached all the way back to the Division II era. For the Mavericks, he's opposed by Todd Lee in his first season at his alma mater. The Coyotes are 9 and 13. Jay Elson, Brad Newitt on the call for you tonight. The third member of our team is Elena Lansing.
Thanks, Jay. Yeah, the Sanford Pentagon offers a unique experience to play in boasts history with coaches like Bill Self and Bobby Knight having come here, and players like Kevin Love, and it's just a unique experience to play here. And I asked the team if they were excited, and they said yes. They were excited about the memories, but also for the history here. Many of them have played in AAU tournaments, and Coach Hansen's daughters grew up playing here. He's very familiar with the facility, and it is Coach Todd Lee's first experience in the Pentagon, so he's in for a real treat. The guys are excited about the history, but also about making the memories here tonight.
There's no doubt about it, Elena. This building has developed quite a reputation nationwide for the level of basketball that's been played inside it in its short lifespan.
Yeah, no question. This is going to be a terrific matchup here tonight between a really good defensive team in South Dakota, Jay, and a great offensive team in Omaha.
Tyler Peterson gives it the first goal of the night for South Dakota from the corner. JT Gibson, though, can't handle the rebound. And the Coyotes will get another crack at it. One thing there's no doubt about it. If you're South Dakota, you do not want to get in an up and down game with the Omaha Mavericks.
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that loves high possession basketball, and the more possessions, the better for Omaha. Yes, South Dakota in this game, they want to try to control that tempo, and you're going to see them do that here on the offensive end where they're really going to work the basketball.
There's a tale of two halves in the first meeting between these teams on January 20th. Tyler Peterson somehow didn't get that one to drop for him, but South Dakota got them to play that slow half-court style, and they took a 3-point lead into the breakdown at Baxter Arena, but the Mavericks did what they do in the second half, and they scored 48 points as a result. Ended up with a 7-point victory, 75-68. Mitch Hahn fouled on his way to the basket, and that will be charged to Stanley Amude. His first. Coyotes do not want to see him get in foul trouble. That's one thing that you have seen him struggle a little bit with at times, even though he's piled up the points, the offense. Staying on the floor sometimes has been a bit of an issue for Stanley.
Now, there's no question about it. I mean, that really hurt South Dakota in their last home game, a loss they had to Western Illinois, where Amude only had 3 points. A lot of that, Jay, because he never got in rhythm in that game, was in foul trouble a lot of that afternoon.
That's what Brandon Gilbeck will do to a lot of guys. The big man, defensive player of the year from Western Illinois, the 7-footer. And Tyler Peterson walked into the lane. It's a lane violation. Doesn't matter. Hahn made the free throw. It's 2-0. Mavericks here in the early going. Tristan Simpson brings it up the floor, the Nebraska native. One of a couple of those, few of those on this South Dakota roster. Only a couple available to play tonight. Stanley walked with it this time, so a turnover. Simpson hails from Lincoln, Nebraska. You've got Logan Power, also out of Lincoln. He and Mitch Hahn have a pretty good friendship, as a matter of fact, those two growing up together. And then you've got Tyler Hagedorn out of Norfolk, Nebraska, but he is on the shelf for the year, redshirting due to a foot injury.
Right now, South Dakota, with this starting lineup, guarding in the low post is going to be something they're going to have to watch here. And right now, Omaha's really had good ball movement, I think, in their first 2 possessions to get good looks.
58th three-pointer of the season for JT Gibson. He leads Omaha in that category. He's made at least one now in all 23 of the Mavericks games so far this season. Trey Birch-Manning, Cody Kelly, the graduate transfer from Wyoming, has been a great addition to this team this season.
Help defense that time by the Mavericks. And again, now watching the low post right now, Stanley Amude is matched up right now on Matt Pyle, who's the starting center for Omaha. Let's see if Omaha can get him a touch.
Gibson maybe a little bit of a heat check early as he catches, shoots immediately.
See a lot of ball screen action here by USD. So far, Omaha has been willing to switch those screens.
Birch Manning tried to squeeze that pass over to Birch Manning. Jackson picked it off. Now he goes all the way end to end. It's 7-0 run to start for Omaha. And a quick timeout for Todd Lee. Just 2.5 minutes into the ballgame.
Not the start South Dakota wanted because they're turning the basketball over. And something that South Dakota's done a pretty good job of this year. They only turn it over about 11 times a game in Summit League play. But a couple early ones here that cost them baskets.
Take a look at the tail of the tape between these two teams. You see the
South Dakota's defense has really been solid for them most of this year. And yeah, that's going to be the tug of war. And you mentioned the first time these teams met, it was 75-68 Omaha won. And really, for the most part, South Dakota got the pace of the game where they wanted to, especially in the first half. Can they do that for a full 40 minutes here tonight? Little rocky start, though, here so far.
Amude gets him on the board. Contested three in the face of Pyle. First triple of the night for Stanley Amude, who came in shooting up 37%. Not bad for a guy his size.
Yeah, he doesn't take a ton of threes to get his 19 points a game, but really did a nice job there just squaring up. The defense gave it to him.
Jackson, one of the premier scorers in the Summit League. He gets called for a walk. Good defense there from Tyler Peterson to force the timeouts. The Coyotes look a little collective out of the break from Todd Lee there.
This game's going to really come down to a lot of matchups, and it might be guys guarding people that are not originally assigned to, because both these teams right now look like they've been willing to switch some screens on the defensive end.
Kristen Simpson wanted to shoot it, elected not to. Here's Cody Kelly, shakes off KJ Robinson. Rebound for Gibson.
Defensive transition also going to be really important for USD tonight. They did a nice job there. You want to get that initial push stopped.
Matt Pyle, nice find to Jackson. Got Birch Manning to leave his feet. And he is whistled for the foul. So 2 free throws coming up for the senior out of Wichita, Kansas.
Hey, this was really a nice job by Matt Pyle, too, because he got doubled, didn't panic. Made a good pass, and then there, what you see, Jay, in my opinion, is just Zach Jackson being a senior. I mean, really poised, getting that ball around the rim. I think earlier in his career, he might just try to gone up with that right away. Maybe gets his shot blocked, but there instead draws the foul.
Jackson 77% at the line, misses the first. Preseason All-Summit League selection, was a second-team pick as a junior. What a senior year he has had, Brad. He's been in double figures 20 times already this year. He's reached the 20-point plateau 10 times, including 4 out of the last 5 games for the Mavericks. Amude, deep looking three there off the side iron. A rebound for Robinson. Coyotes still scuffling a little bit on that offensive end. 1 of 6 from the floor. They're 1 of 4 from the perimeter. That's a reach-in foul there on Trey Birch Manning. That's going to be 2 on the Coyote senior. And we're going to step away with 15:40.
For them to be successful in this game, they've really got to guard the three-point line. Omaha comes into this game, they're the top 20 in the country when it comes to three-point percentage, and they've got a lot of guys in their starting 5 that can really fill it up from there.
Omaha basketball out of the timeout. Inbound with 20 seconds. That foul was charged to Trey Birch Manning. So Kyle's gambling a little bit, keeping the senior out there with those 2 personals. Zach Jackson knocks down the triple. Omaha with a couple of those already.
I think they actually gave him a 2 on that one.
Did they call it a 2?
On the line. So we'll see if that's something they end up going back and reviewing. And when you're looking at your screen here, it's actually the dark three-point line on this court that is the college line.
Cody Kelly plus the foul, a chance at a 4-point play. That was behind the 3-point line, no doubt about that one. And Kelly will head to the free throw line.
Now this is huge for South Dakota. If they can get Cody Kelly and some of that supporting cast to come along and shoot the ball well from the 3-point line, that could be huge for them here tonight. You look at in my opinion, South Dakota, when they've had some of their big wins, Jace, when they've really been able to get the perimeter scoring going, and they've gotten a couple of them already now.
Kelly gets 4 points back right there on that possession. The former 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year out of Gillette, Wyoming. In his first year with South Dakota as a graduate transfer from Wyoming. That's very happy to have him back next year for his senior season. Here's Jackson. He's cut off by Amude. Akinwole comes up short on the triple. The rebound pulled in by Stanley.
South Dakota's done a pretty good job, even though they're undersized at this starting 5, of rebounding on the defensive end.
Just like that, we're tied up. Counts a quick little 7-0 spurt. It's 10 apiece.
Well, South Dakota's gotten 9 of those 10 points from the three-point line. Not their bread and butter, but it's working well so far.
Pyle strong, offensive rebound. No, he can't control it, so here's Peterson back up the floor quickly in transition with Simpson, who's going to round his way out and hand off to Amude, and he slices to the rim for an easy 2. That was pretty down the paint for Stanley Amude.
Great body control, and at 6'6", what an athlete to finish that play.
Kyle's on a 9-0 run now. B.J. Robinson shakes off Simpson. Wanted to draw the foul there, couldn't do it. Amude can't control the board, so it'll stick with the Mavericks. Matt Johns checks into the game. Freshman out of Australia, and he'll send Trey Birch-Manning to the bench.
Now, USD's been doing it on the defensive glass by committee, and that time, you know, a lot of white jerseys trying to attack the basketball. That's what you want to see if you're Todd Lee, because it takes a team effort for the South Dakota team to rebound. I mean, they are certainly challenged in the size department due to some of the injuries they've had.
Robinson to inbound here for the Mavericks.
This is a matchup that Omaha likes. They've got Simpson switched off, that time on Hahn.
Trying to get the back door to Akinwole. He finds a cutting route. Well, look at the movement there, Brad. It leads to an easy lay-in from Mitch Hahn. You saw 4 quick passes in succession there to lead to the layup.
Now, this is an Omaha group that's played together now here for a few years, and you know, they had a rough season last year because they were the team battling a lot of injuries, but they've been healthy this whole season and a really well-oiled machine like you saw right there.
Johns working on Pyle. He finds Amude here. Got it by Hine. Shot clock winding down. Peterson. Pull-up jumper is short. Omaha brought back 67% of its offense from that team last year, Brad. 60% of its rebounding. That's one thing Todd Lee says when he talks about this team is when you're at the mid-major level, you want to be old. And Omaha's old as Amude goes to the other end and finishes to put the Coyotes back up too. But you look up and down this lineup, and a lot of these guys, like you've said, played a lot of minutes over the last couple of years.
Now, it all starts with Jackson and Hahn, 2 anchor seniors that are your 2 leading scorers and go-to guys. This is Hahn right here with the ball.
Good defense that time by Simpson, who's given up a lot in height. He forced him into a difficult shot. Made him earn it, but Hahn's just that good.
Well, Omaha's doing a good job of just getting some screening going to cause switches and then taking advantage of the mismatch that results from that.
Kelly picks up his dribble. Here's Amude. Over the extended reach of Hahn. That's not an easy shot.
No.
Long 2 for Amude. He's got 9 already for USD. And the Coyotes, again, back on top by a pair.
On Amude, for a kid that hardly played last year, it's amazing to see the confidence he's been playing with.
Offensive foul whistled against Matt Pyle, excuse me. And we're going to step away with 11:54 to Purdon. He was the benefactor of all that movement, that cutting between different sides of the paint. And just constant motion out of that offense for Darren Hansen.
Hahn's not on the floor now for Omaha, so we'll see if that changes some things when they do get the ball on the other end.
Wanyang Tuck right here, top of the key, guarding Amude now, has checked in for the first time for the Mavericks. Matt Johns almost got that offensive rebound. Akinwole brings it back into the front court, though, for the Mavericks. Also into the game, Brett Barney the Wichita State transfer. Zach Jackson rises up. That won't go. And Amude pulls in another rebound. He's been active on the glass here in the early part. You and I talked before, Brad, about how important that rebounding battle was going to be tonight for South Dakota.
Yeah, you look at the first game when these teams played, and Omaha had a plus 12 rebound advantage. That's a big reason why they won the first matchup. Great help that time.
Wanted a foul, didn't get it. Here comes Jackson.
South Dakota's done a good job so far making Omaha have to score in the half court, and that is so key to trying to contain and slow down this Maverick offense.
Barney looks a little lost under there, dropped the shoulder, didn't get whistled for the offensive foul. Maybe a little bit of a flop there from Amude, or at least that was the impression the officials took from it. No harm done for South Dakota.
Yeah, they're getting stops, South Dakota is. That's what's key.
Brandon Armstrong just attacking the rim there. He was kind of off balance. Maybe got bailed out a little bit by the foul on Tutt. So 2 free throws coming up for the junior out of San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah, I thought Tutt did actually a pretty decent job giving ground there.
Going back to the rebounding conversation, Brad, Omaha is actually 11-0 this season when they out-rebound their opponent. So that's certainly one of those things you're going to want to keep in mind here. The other thing I think is Omaha's 10-0 when they outscore their opponent in the paint. And that's something they had a decided advantage of, 30-20 in that first meeting back in Omaha on January 20th. Trey Birch Manning back into the game. He'll send Amude to the bench. Matt Johns sits down as well.
I tell you, Omaha has, I mean, they've kind of flipped their season after their non-conference. Now, they played a very difficult non-conference schedule, Jay, where they played 5 Power 5 schools, and it was all on the road, of course, and that was difficult. But they were getting destroyed on the glass by those probably bigger, more physical teams. But since they've gone to summer league play, like you mentioned, they've been pretty good. +2 on the glass, game in, game out, and that's been a big reason for their success.
Came in conference play, 34 rebounds per game. That's 4th best in the league, and they only allow 32.3 per game. A lot of that's because they shoot it really well. They don't give the opponent a lot of opportunities to rebound. That helps anybody.
No doubt.
Robinson lost the handle briefly. Now finds Jackson, who gets it to go, plus the foul. And is that against Trey Birch Manning? It is, and that's going to be number 3 on Birch Manning. So Coyote Sr. probably going to have to go back to the bench here, as he picks up number 3 with 9:50 to play in the first half.
A great cut by Jackson to attack the rim there, and Omaha's really done a nice job spacing the floor and getting a lot of basket cuts. And you mentioned the points in the paint. That's how Omaha gets them a lot of times, is just that kind of action.
Jackson converts the free throw, up to 8 points to lead the Mavericks. Logan Power checks into the game for the first time tonight. Logan, in his 2nd game back from an injury, also sustained to his foot on Christmas night. He hadn't appeared in the game since December 19th. Until last week, gave him 4 minutes off the bench in the loss at Purdue Fort Wayne. Logan's still trying to get back into game shape. When you take that much time off in the middle of the season, it is very detrimental to your physical conditioning. That's Trey Birch Manning. He knows that as well.
Without Stanley Amude in this game, and now Trey Birch Manning on the bench, South Dakota, finding people that are going to score, that's going to be a chore here. This is going to be a critical juncture of the game for them.
Robinson, a tough finish. On the run, he draws the contact, kind of lunged into the contact there, still kept his balance enough to throw that off the window with his left hand.
Now, KJ Robinson's just become a terrific scoring point guard. Great assist guy for them that takes care of the ball, but then he's got the ability to knock down the open 3 and then finish a tough drive like that.
Consecutive 3-point plays for Zach Jackson and KJ Robinson gives the Mavericks a 6-0 run and puts them back on top 20-18 here as we tick under 9 minutes to play here in the first half.
Oh, really trying to smother that ball screen now. Some really good help from the bigs.
Kelly Comes up short this time. Barney grabs the board. See, that quickness is just... Seems like the Mavericks have a different gear at times.
Yeah, they can go end to end faster than anyone in the Summer League. Now, they've been pretty disciplined in this game, not forcing it.
Feed it in on Hahn. How about this size advantage? A reach-in foul whistled against Cody Kelly. That's his first. Sixth team foul for South Dakota. And Stanley Amude back into the game, replacing Power, who gave him about a minute and a half there.
There's been maybe one Achilles heel defensively for South Dakota, and that is they are very foul prone, Jay. They foul more than anyone in the Summer League, and they're off to that start here tonight with 6 already.
Lost sight of Mitch Hahn. That is not a guy you want to lose sight of, and he's difficult to lose sight of. A guy that stands 6'8". But an easy lay-in for him. It's an 8-0 run now for the Mavericks. Tristan Simpson coming back, can't hit the corner three. And good hustle there for JT Gibson. Throws it off Brandon Armstrong. Maverick basketball when we come back. Trailing Omaha 22-18. Coyotes have been prone to some dry spells offensively at different points of the season. Seems like every game they have one that's a little bit more of an extended. And right now it's not terrible. It's just over 2 minutes, but Omaha has been able to capitalize with 8 straight points.
Yeah, that's the thing. Omaha is very potent offensively, so a scoring drought by you could really doom you and create a big run, and now it's 11-0 after that last 3.
JT Gibson, a couple of triples already for him here in the first half. He's off to a solid shooting start.
I think the thing Omaha's done well on this NJ is they've kind of turned South Dakota into a jump shooting team. Now, there's a good attack of the rim by Armstrong. They need more of that, and then let the three-point shooting come off of it.
Armstrong did that right there very well in the win on the road at North Dakota a couple of weeks ago. Got himself to the foul line a bunch of times in that game. I think he took 12, made 9 of them, but we've seen him do that once already and then convert on that end. But Zach Jackson answering here for Omaha.
That's the thing that Armstrong needs to continue to work on to complete his game is the defensive end. And that time his footwork just wasn't good, and Jackson took advantage of it.
Needs some help here after he picks up his dribble. Finds Simpson.
South Dakota needs to get Amude more touches here right now. He hasn't touched it this possession. That's not what you need. You need him touching the ball and forcing the defense to have to react to that. He will draw a lot of attention to him when he does have the ball.
Wanyang Tut here. Redshirt freshman up over the top of Amude. And a timeout for South Dakota. Second of the half. Charge to Todd Lee. And he takes this one with 6:22 to play before the break.
I'll tell you, a big part of that play right there was Amude's already got a foul. He doesn't want to pick up his second, especially in light of the fact that Trey Birch-Manning has 3 already in this half. And South Dakota, shorthanded to this roster, they cannot afford foul trouble.
Well, we've talked a lot about one of the senior leaders on this team, Zaction Jackson. Oh man, that's difficult to actually say. I wrote that myself, and I'm regretting it now. But look at these career numbers, Brad. Almost 1,400 career points. He's 7th right now and closing in quickly on the 6th spot. He's got 467 field goals made. That's 11th best in Maverick history. Pretty good on the defensive end as well, and he's approaching the 1,500 plateau. It's a pretty prestigious mark for anybody in any program. He'd be the 20th in the history of Omaha basketball to do it, and he came into the night needing just 20 to get there.
It's been just a solid staple in their lineup. Senior out of Wichita, Kansas, and has certainly led them this year in that role.
Already 10 points, 2 rebounds for him. Kelly, his second three-pointer of the night. That ends the drought for USD. And brings the Coyotes back within 6.
South Dakota's managed to hit 4 threes in this game. If they can keep that up, that'll help them.
Wanyang Tut called for a travel there as he's working in on Amude. He had him beat. If he takes it toward the baseline, waited a little bit too long, shuffled those feet, and gets whistled for the travel.
Well, let's see here. Can South Dakota continue here to be in attack mode and let their perimeter shooting feed off of that. Omaha's a team that's got a lot of athleticism and quickness to try to contain the ball.
Kelly goes baseline, has it roll off there for the putback, though. Tyler Peterson cleaning up the mess.
But when you can force the defense to have to help on the drive like Kelly did there, that will open up the offensive glass. And Peterson, the best on the team at doing just that.
Nice move inside by Todd. He's got a couple of field goals off the bench here in the first half for Darren Hansen.
Omaha is smelling blood. They're attacking inside because, again, the foul trouble by South Dakota and this undersized lineup. Mavs going to try to take advantage of it.
Kyle's going to try and counter that, bring a little size off the bench with Matt Johns. He'll come in at the next break. And Armstrong and Amude were not on the same page there. Amude throws it into the Maverick bench.
Yeah, really, overall, it's been a pretty clean game for both teams. See Todd Lee coaching and teaching Stanley Amude. I almost wondered there. Zach Jackson was getting up to sub if that's what Amude saw out of the corner of his eye. Wrong color uniform, though.
Actually, just the third turnover of the first half for USD. As you said, been pretty clean on both ends to this point. Here's Hahn, guarded by Armstrong. Wants him to go left. He does. Takes it to the rim. Dumps it off. Jackson, though, won't get it off in time. Solid possession defensively that time for South Dakota.
Omaha just seemed out of sync. You don't see them stand very much with the ball. And I think that's why Darren Hansen's kind of getting after his team right now. Offensively, they just kind of played right into USD's hands that time.
John swings it over. Here's Armstrong.
Good ball movement this time by South Dakota.
And Simpson draws the foul on Akinwole. Still just the fourth team foul against the Mavericks here in the first half with 4:03 to play before the break. So Cody Kelly will get set to inbound.
We talked about how South Dakota has struggled sometimes defensively fouling. Omaha's the best team in the Summit League at not fouling, but now they're going to get two on this possession.
This one goes to KJ Robinson. But check that, Zach Jackson got it instead. Number one on Jackson, and Kelly will do it again. 2 seconds comes off the clock. Let's try to find Tyler Peterson. Akinwole, though, good hands, knocks it out of bounds.
This is an Omaha team that's pretty scrappy. They will play passing lanes. They'll try to get their hands on the basketball. They are susceptible to getting beat off the bounce and giving up open perimeter shots. We've seen that happen some tonight already. South Dakota needs to move when they get the ball like that to Johns. They can't have everyone standing trying to watch him make a play.
2:25.
Okay, Omaha's hit 7 of their last 8 shots, but they haven't really been able to run away from South Dakota because USD's hit some timely threes. They don't really slow down the pace of this game, too. They've done a pretty good job cutting some possessions out of this first half, and they've needed to, especially with Trey Birch-Manning having 3 fouls.
Peterson inside, tough fadeaway shot there. Well short, Hahn grabs it.
I think that's a play last year. Tyler Peterson's making that shot more because he's probably being guarded by a smaller player. Now he's playing the 4 this year.
Jackson knocks down a contested 3, not an easy shot. First triple of the night for Jackson and leads all scorers with 13 points here in the first half.
Yeah, Omaha shooting 62% here in this first half.
And a foul on the rebound goes against Tyler Peterson. And that will be his first. And the 7th team foul. So we'll go to the other end and shoot a 1-on-1 with JT Gibson.
Yeah, this is where the fouls and those starting to pile up can hurt you. Omaha's a very good free throw shooting team on the season. Summit League play especially. They're almost 80% as a team, which is remarkable.
Second in the Summit League at the line are the Mavericks. Gibson earns the bonus.
A lot of it, you've got really good offensive players. They're very skilled as well. And those are the ones getting to the line a lot. And guys like Gibson and Robinson, the guard. Zach Jackson, terrific getting to the line as well. Stanley Mude here with the ball. UC needs to get him going, Jay. He had 9 points about the first 8 minutes of this game, but he has not scored since.
Travel call there on Cody Kelly. Another turnover for South Dakota. Their 4th of the half, and they're in another one of those scoreless droughts, Brad, over 2.5 minutes here.
Well, that's the thing, is they had another one before this where they went a couple minutes, and I mean, they're hanging in this game because they've scrapped all right on this end and they've slowed the game down. But right now, the way this pace of this thing is, an 11-point lead for Omaha is much bigger than that.
Trying to sky hook. Rebound tapped into the hands of Cody Kelly. Calling for the screen. Spots up. Robinson got a hand in there, but not in time. 3 triples here in the opening half for Cody Kelly, who shot it pretty well from the perimeter in conference plays at 40%.
Yeah, he had some struggles in the non-conference, but he's really found his groove of late. He's been huge here in this one. Like I said, really keeping USC within striking distance.
Really late whistle that time on Jackson's attempt. Brandon Armstrong picks up his first, and 2 free throws here for Jackson now.
Yeah, this is a tough call that goes against Armstrong, but this is a veteran player in Jackson initiating contact, which a lot of offensive players do, and then really, quite frankly, just kind of selling the call and earning it. And I think that's what you see a lot of times out of veteran players. Jackson, a senior, is really good at doing that.
A couple of misses at the free throw line for him here in the first half. Hasn't missed a whole lot of anything else. He's 5 of 7 from the floor, 1 of 1 from the arc.
You mentioned he has just been terrific. Last 5 games, 4 of those have been over 20 points. The one game he struggled was at SDSU, the game that Omaha lost. And Jackson only scored 5. I thought South Dakota State did a nice job taking him out of his element that afternoon.
Simpson shakes off the defender. Here's Armstrong. A lot of contact there. No whistle on that one. Armstrong stays with it, got it back. But his pass intercepted by KJ Robinson, and now a foul called on Cody Kelly.
Certainly the South Dakota bench not happy about the way that went. I think he certainly could have called a foul on Omaha earlier in the possession. And then Kelly there, you just got to be a little bit smarter. I mean, you did have the Omaha player pinned there, but don't reach in and foul.
Actually charged that one to Tyler Peterson. Instead, that's number 2 on Peterson. So Coyotes are going to have to monitor that situation pretty close going forward. Trey Birch-Manning with 3 already. You got Peterson with a couple. I mean, Coyotes don't run real deep.
No, they don't.
So Robinson gets them both. And that lead now to 10 for the Mavericks. 1 shy of their largest of the first half. Robinson just getting his hands on everything right now.
The Omaha guards are really seeking the ball.
And now they're sealed off here, and Tutt's going to get a foul called here. That's a tough one on him, I think. As you saw that quick double team at the first sign of trouble. You talked earlier about smelling blood. That was exactly what you saw there as Tutt and Gibson converged on Amude, and Tutt whistled for his second.
Yeah, that was one that certainly went South Dakota's way that time. But they'll take it here. They need to try to get a little momentum heading into the locker room here. It's really been a rough last kind of 10 minutes or so of this half.
That'll bring Jackson back off the bench, replacing Tutt. And Amude earned the bonus with that first make at the free throw line. Stanley into double figures now for the 14th time this season. With that first free throw, gets them both. He's got 11.
Get this, Omaha's made 8 of their last 9 shots. When you consider that stat, for South Dakota to only be down 8, that's pretty remarkable.
Gibson rises up, wanted another three, left it short.
Good opportunity here for South Dakota. Cut into that lead.
All the way to the rack. Stanley Amude lays it in.
That's the spark that Amude can give them. And he had a terrific beginning of this half and then really went quiet for about 10 minutes. And now some big points at the free throw line, and now that finish.
Hahn going one-on-one with Simpson. Shakes off the Coyote Jr. and a timeout off the make for Darren Hansen with 23 seconds remaining in the half. 40-32. Mavericks with the lead as we take another look at that last make from Hahn.
Well, Omaha's gotten themselves in this matchup where they've gotten Simpson either matched up on Hahn or Zach Jackson. And what they've done is just tried to slide those guys into the low post and make Simpson, who's only about 6'2", try to guard a bigger player down there. And that time Hahn just able to rise up and shoot over him.
Shot clock will be off for this possession here for South Dakota. Brad, what are you looking for here to close the half? Obviously, you want to get something, cut into that deficit as much as you can here before the break. But you want to be sure, I think, most importantly, take a smart shot.
Exactly. Take a good shot. Don't give Omaha another offensive possession. That's interesting. Omaha's the one that called timeout there. And so if I'm South Dakota, I'm going to be my antenna's going to be up here. Be ready for a trap or something you haven't seen defensively yet here in this half, maybe.
No trap visible yet.
No, I think Omaha's just going to play it.
Play straight up for these final last 15 seconds. And here's Simpson. Stanley Amude working on Gibson. Splits the defense. Does not get the roll, but he will get 2 free throws with 3.3 remaining.
I tell you, both these coaching staffs have done a really nice job of getting their star players involved in some ball screen action that have created then mismatches. And that time Amude able to get JT Gibson switched off on him and then take him to the rim. And good recognition there by Amude to not settle for a jump shot.
Amude 69% on the year at the free throw line. Been good so far here tonight.
We talked. I mean, he averages 19 points a game in summer league play. Last year he scored 15 points all year. So what he's done this year has been remarkable.
Hahn at the horn, had it online, but comes up short, and that will do it for our first half here. Here we go. Start of the second half at the Sanford Pentagon. Omaha with the basketball first, leading 40-33. Both teams beginning the half with their starting 5, and what a start it is for Omaha. Alley-oop from Mitch Hahn to Matt Pyle, and then a turnover on the inbound for South Dakota. So kind of a disastrous opening sequence here for the Coyotes. Beautiful if you're the Mavericks.
Well, Matt Pyle didn't play a lot in that first half. He had 2 fouls, only played 8 minutes. They got him going right away.
And then right off the inbound, it's Jackson plus the foul. So Mavericks could score 5 points in 13 seconds.
Yeah, this is really a disastrous start here for South Dakota. And that's the thing with this team. Their margin for error is really thin right now against a really good team like Omaha. And you got to have your focus here.
Omaha has been a very, very good team in the second half, averaging 42.5 points per game after the break. And they start with 5 in 13 seconds here in the second half. Tyler Peterson to the rim, and he will get a chance at a 3-point play. And Peterson to the foul line. He's been very effective there all season, Brad, 86% of the time. He just hasn't gotten there much in conference play.
Yeah, he needs to do more of this attack. And he's playing the 4 spot a lot now for South Dakota, which means he's got a bigger defender on him, like he did that time and what Mitch Hahn was bringing. And Peterson's advantage in those situations is to do just that. Take to the rim, use the rim to protect your shot. He did that beautifully that time.
3-point play for Peterson. He's got 5, and South Dakota back within 9. Omaha coming off its largest lead of the night there to open the second half at 12 points. Here's Pyle, only played 8 minutes in the first half due to foul trouble. He's the one who had the alley-oop to start the second half. Jackson shakes off Peterson and then knocks it down right in his face.
There's nothing you can do about that defensively. That's just a great player in Jackson. He's even kind of smiling there a little smirk. He knew he really hit a difficult shot.
To that double team out high on Simpson. Get it inside, and Birch Manning picks up his 4th on offense.
Yeah, that's what you worry about with the foul trouble. Not so much that it's going to come on the D end because you're thinking there, but as an offensive player, Birch Manning trying to make something happen here. That was a bang-bang play that could have gone either way.
Nathan Robinson, true freshman, checks in for the first time tonight for South Dakota. He'll send Peterson to the bench.
They leave Trey Birch Manning on the floor with 4 fouls. Maybe at this point, Todd Leadus says we gotta roll the dice here a little bit. This could be the tipping point of this game.
Inside out from Pyle to Hahn, and the Mavericks white hot to start the second half. Hahn knocks down his first triple of the night.
They've already scored 11 points here in about a minute and a half, and yes, that's how explosive this team can be offensively at times.
Lead is stretched from 7 at the half to 15 now, inside the first 2 minutes of the second half.
South Dakota's got to get the ball moving, get everyone touching it here. They're just standing right now.
Uday fires for 3. Here's Robinson back the other way now.
You really got to lock down here now for USD.
Rebound, knocked out of bounds. It'll stay with the Mavericks, and Uday touched it last.
That play right there is what Matt Pyle brings to Omaha. He is terrific on the O glass, the best in the Summit League when it comes to going and getting those. And even though he didn't get his hands on those, he still kept it alive for his team.
Pyle had a huge night in that win over South Dakota back on January 20th. Had 12 points, 14 rebounds, 7 of those on the offensive end. Second chance points in that second half, a large part of what Omaha was able to do to put that game away.
Good job defensively there by Birch Manning, holding his ground. This is where South Dakota, they got to get moving here. See how everyone's kind of just standing, watching the guy with the ball?
Let's check in with Elena Lanson real quick.
Zach Jackson and Mitch Hahn are team captains in their second year, and they know the role well. Coach Hansen has said the two have a knack for lifting the team up and providing that leadership that a team needs. He said a big reason that they've had so much success this year is because of those two. They are the quickest to get down to the floor and lead in that manner, and they are leading the points tonight as well, guys. They're always uplifting to the team they seem to be doing out there on the floor tonight.
Jackson takes a tough one there. Offensive foul charge to him.
Nice job by Nathan Robinson there defensively. Slid his feet and picked up that foul, and that's a stop there. That's what South Dakota needs. That's a start.
You can see that defense coming out high and hard for the Mavericks, and Pyle picks up his 3rd. So now you've got Trey Birch Manning for South Dakota with 4, and Pyle's going to have to go to the bench for Omaha with 3. That's going to bring Barney back off or into the game.
That's the risk you run when you're Omaha. If you're going to double that ball screen really hard with your post, is you're putting him out in a lot of open space, asking him to contain a quick guard, and that's tough for a guy like Matt Pyle, who's 6'8", 240, to do that.
They're looking to go right at Hahn, too strong, and a foul will be called on Johns on the rebound.
Both these teams kind of might need to cool it a little bit here in their aggressiveness because they both have already picked up 3 fouls. We're only 3 minutes into this second half. And I think especially for South Dakota, just A, they have a thin bench. They can't afford any more foul trouble. B, they don't want to be putting Omaha on the line, a great free throw shooting team. Jay, to me, this is the end where South Dakota's got to start locking down. Late there.
From 3. 40% shooter from the outside. The big guy out of Wichita, one of 2 Wichita natives, Zach Jackson the other. Omaha has hit the state of Kansas pretty hard here in recruiting over the last few years. You got Pyle as a Kansas native as well.
Yeah, he's from a town just outside of Wichita, so it's been a good pipeline.
Johns banks it in. Why not?
South Dakota doesn't care how pretty it looks right now. They just need something. But again, I think this is the end. I mean, this is where South Dakota's hung their hat this year, being a good defensive team. And I know Omaha's good offensively, but South Dakota, if they're going to climb back in this thing, they got to string together some stops here. Omaha's already scored 14 in this half.
Gibson, that's good defense there from Amude, kind of altering that shot without fouling. Simpson got Robinson to come on in, and then he goes right past him to the rim, plus the foul. Mavericks have been
touching the ball, get that ball moving, try to get Omaha spread out defensively and see if you can attack off of that.
Going back, Tristan Simpson at the free throw line, and he completes his three-point play. Simpson, kind of a quiet night so far offensively, 6 points for him.
South Dakota's gotten 2 straight stops. And they string together a couple more here and see if they can continue to cut into this lead.
Jackson spots up for 3. That won't go. Ripped down the rebound. That's Stanley Amude. He's got 6 boards now to go along with those 14 points. Cody Kelly hit 3 in the first half. Give him another here.
I tell you, this defensive stops for South Dakota has given them some transition. That time was kind of more of a secondary look, though, but Omaha has not been set.
Robinson lost the handle, ended up with it, knocks down the 15-footer.
That's just a bad bounce for South Dakota. They really did a nice job getting their hand on it, just didn't come up with the loose ball.
Tyler Peterson set to check back in for South Dakota at the next dead ball. JT Gibson will come back on for the Mavericks. Johns draws the foul. That'll go against Tut.
USD's doing a much better job the last few minutes of moving without the basketball and then just passing the basketball. Freshman Johns that time, nice shot slipping into the paint.
Johns stepped in and started all the games that Trey Birch-Manning missed with his injury. It's a total of 10 starts on the year for the freshman out of Geelong, Australia. 6'8", 230-pounder. This is the first of those 2 free throws. A lot of talk from the South Dakota camp about all the talent that this young man possesses.
Yes.
But again, we talk about it just about every time we do a Coyote game, is reminding people that Johns grew up playing point guard as a 6'8". As a guy that stands 6'8" now anyway. Obviously he wasn't that way his whole life, but he's got height, and he was playing out of position that way. Now he's trying to learn how to play the post position for the first time in his life, and he's doing it as a Division I athlete. So that takes some time, maybe even more of a learning curve there than it is for a normal freshman.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's been thrust into having to guard the post like he's doing right now.
Probably thrust into a larger role that he might have otherwise had. KJ Robinson, another 3. Omaha's hit 7 of them on the night.
That's a huge bucket for Omaha right now because they're resting Jackson and Hahn. They're 2 stud offensive players right now. This is South Dakota's chance to really try to cut into this thing.
Simpson for 3. We trade for triples now.
South Dakota still needs to see if they can they go on like a 2 or 3 minute run here where they can really shut down Omaha on this, and they haven't been able to do it yet in this game.
Top kicks it out. Barney all alone. Hit one earlier. This time he's well short.
Simpson really trying to push the pace now.
Nice find from Johns, and the foul goes against Todd. A chance at another 3-point play for Tyler Peterson. What a pass from Matt Johns there. No look and right on target.
Yeah, this is the beauty of being 6'8" on the perimeter. Yeah, looked off the defense beautifully and put the ball right where it needed to be with a lot of zip, and Peterson, a beautiful finish.
That's the kind of thing that can inject some life into a team right there. And Peterson, chance to cap it off here from the free throw line. We talked about how he needed to get to the foul line more, Brad. Yeah. We've seen 2 trips now here in this second half. Been very good there all year, and he continues here. Johns to the bench after that fine assist, replaced by Cody Kelly. And the Coyotes as close as they've been since the start of the half. Now back within 7, which was the same deficit they had at the half.
Darren Hansen put his star players on the bench, and Omaha lost half their lead. Now they're back in the game.
Akinwole has it knocked out of bounds. Cody Kelly thought Akinwole touched it last. Kelly Pfeiffer disagrees. Mavericks will inbound from directly in front of their bench.
So that's just terrific ball pressure by Cody Kelly, and that's one of the ways that South Dakota can disrupt this Omaha offense.
Akinwole, boy, that got easy there as miscommunication defensively. Somebody lost track of it, and he went right to the rim.
Yeah, there was just no help on the ball screen, and then no backside help to come shut off the drive all the way to the hoop.
Nice feed there from Peterson. Tristan Simpson, a backdoor cut and a lay-in. Just like that, Simpson into double figures now with 11 points.
Both these teams really playing terrifically on the offensive end here in this second half so far.
One of them is built for a shootout. One of them has not been most of the season. Offensive foul, maybe. No, it's going to be a block. Yeah. Armstrong was inside the restricted arc, and it's a great call.
Yeah, it wasn't even close.
On a bang-bang play. Yeah, he was a good foot inside that.
Yeah, you'll watch his feet there. His heels clearly on the line.
I guess he wasn't as far in as it looked from here, but his heels definitely on the line of that restricted arc underneath.
I'll tell you though, but both these teams, they've really done a nice job just being aggressive in this second half, attacking, moving the basketball, getting open shots for their teammates, and guys stepping up and making some big plays.
Hahn does not make the first free throw. 77% at the line on the year. Senior out of Fremont, Nebraska. Spent a lot of time on the shelf last year. Missed 16 games with a shoulder injury. He's had some issues with that shoulder throughout his career, but has been able to stay healthy this year. And boy, he's been fantastic for Darren Hansen.
Yeah, at this point, he looks like a shoo-in to be all Summit League. And him and Zach Jackson, two great seniors on the floor for Omaha. That's why they've had a great year in the Summit League so far.
See that Omaha's kind of ratcheting up the intensity on the defensive end, but Armstrong able to shake free and knock down the triple. Kyle's starting to shoot it pretty well here.
Yeah, they are 9 of 18 from the three-point line, Jay. This is a team that came into tonight dead last in the Summit League in three-point percentage. So that three balls really helped USD.
It's got it back within 5 here, 62-57. Omaha, remember, is led by as many as 15 here in the second half. Timeout there goes.
From the three-point line. In the Summit League play about 34%. That's last in the Summit League, but they only make about 7. Top of this, they don't take a lot of them, but tonight, you look at what they've done, Jay. They're 9 of 18, and they've kind of needed that. I mean, they need something extra here to try to stay up with this Omaha offense.
Hahn off the dribble, has it go in and out. But as you've said, Brad, it starts here. They've got to string some stops together with this potent Omaha offense, which is easier said than done. Shot is waved off there. His foul is called on the floor. Will go against Brett Barney.
That's going to be the 7th foul now on Omaha, so that's going to already send South Dakota to the line. We have 11 minutes still to go in this game here. We talked about this early in this half. These teams were racking up some fouls pretty quickly, and that's now where this really comes to kind of be a big issue, especially for Omaha now putting USD on the line. That was a 1-and-1. I don't think anyone knew it except for Amude.
He was on top of it. So a bonus shot here coming up for Simpson. And remember, that maybe the most impressive part of the way South Dakota has come back is that Trey Burks-Manning's been on the bench with those 4 fouls.
Only played 7 minutes in the first half, picking up 3, and then got his 4th one pretty quickly in this half with an offensive foul.
USD has made it a one-possession game now, 62-59. They've gotten a whole lot more interesting here over the last few minutes.
Omaha led by 18, if you can believe that, at one point in this half. And USD's trimmed 15 points off of that.
Starting five back out there now for the Mavericks, and Jackson has just got a knack for drawing the foul. You see him on the catch, leaning in on Cody Kelly. And that'll be 2 shots coming up for Jackson. Here it is here.
Omaha loves to get the ball into Matt Pyle's hands, their center, and then let him try to make passes to cutting players, and that's exactly what they did that time. Pyle's a really good passer for a big man.
Heard Darren Hansen talking to Elena Lance at halftime, telling her they wanted to stay aggressive inside, try to get back to the free throw line, try to pile up those points in the paint.
Yeah.
2 things that they have controlled in the 2 games so far this season against South Dakota. And you see the Coyotes come in, get a bunch of momentum. What do? They come right back, go right to the rim, draw it up for their senior.
Yes.
And there they go. They get 2 points back, quiet it down a little bit, then that lead back to 5.
This is the end, too, where South Dakota's really been terrific. They've really breathed a lot of life into their team with their offensive movement here, getting really high percentage shots and then knocking in some threes.
Good feed inside from Simpson. Little jumper there from Peterson, who's come alive since the break. He's got 8 now. And again, it's a 3-point ball game.
Yeah, 6 of those points for Peterson in this second half.
And that one intercepted. Pyle trying to find Jackson all the way in. Armstrong lays it in for a 2, and it's a 1-point ball game.
Omaha's had just a few costly turnovers in this game. That was one right there that really got this crowd juiced up here now at the Sanford Pentagon.
Jackson looking at it high. Now he'll dribble himself, working on Amude. Step back 3 and a tough one. Won't go. There's the offensive rebound from Pyle. The putback rolls off, but 2 more free throws coming up for Matt Pyle.
Pyle's had some limited minutes to his own foul trouble, but again, this is what he really does to impact the game in a positive way for Omaha on the offensive end. Just terrific with his strength going and getting offensive glass.
Pyle, not a great free throw shooter, 64% on the year, but again, that's what he did, and that shows it right there. But right there, what you saw on the offensive glass, he did that so well in the first meeting between these 2 teams with those 7 offensive boards. Missed the first, missed the second. Too short the first time, way too strong the second. Yeah. Coyotes can take the lead here with a basket.
I mean, this is remarkable. Omaha led by 18, Jay, at the 16:39 mark in this game. So about 7 minutes later here, and South Dakota actually has a chance to take a lead.
Simpson's played well here in the second half, as has Tyler Peterson. Stanley Amude wants it, and he's got it. South Dakota on top, 65-64. Stanley Amude now with 16 to lead the Coyotes.
Now USD kind of giving Omaha a taste of their own medicine here. They've made this thing into an offensive shootout, and USD's risen to the occasion.
Sidesteps, now finds Jackson, kind of hoists that one up, it won't go. The bucket on the putback though is Pyle yet again on the offensive glass, and he's got a chance now at a 3-point play. Matt Pyle again doing his thing inside.
Well, the lineup that South Dakota has on the floor, this time Brandon Armstrong matched up on Pyle, and Pyle just too strong in his lower body and just literally kind of moved Brandon Armstrong out on that rebound. A lot of times if you use your lower body to do that, the officials will let you get away with it.
Pyle does hit the free throw this time, so Omaha back in front by 2.
Nonetheless, though, South Dakota's breathed a ton of life into this crowd, and now a lot of pressure now here on Omaha in a game where it looked like Omaha was ready to go into cruise control.
Simpson drops it off. Peterson didn't like it, kicks it outside. Armstrong for 3. Tyler Peterson was in position, Brad, to lay that up and in, but he didn't like it off the catch. Turns around, finds Armstrong, and he knocks down the triple.
How about the 3-point shooting here again tonight for South Dakota? They've hit now 10 of 19. This is kind of the same recipe they used when they beat Purdue Fort Wayne earlier this year.
Simpson reaches in and whistled for it on Hahn. 7:54 to go, 68-67, South Dakota.
Now, South Dakota's really clicked offensively here in this second half. They're shooting 80%, sharing the basketball, getting drives, hitting a three-point shot, and USD has a lead.
And his future, at least his immediate future, not exactly clear at this point, as Hahn coming back out of the timeout. At the free throw line, it's a 1-and-1.
During this run right now that South Dakota's been on, they've hit 11 of their last 12 shots, so they've really kind of turned this thing into just an offensive show here, and I'm not sure if they've got enough still in the tank for South Dakota to do this for the last 8 minutes of this game, because Omaha really thrives usually in games like this where it's just back and forth offense. But I tell you, South Dakota's really seized the momentum here in this second half.
11 of their last 12 shots.
And this is a team again in South Dakota that's really had some struggles offensively this year.
Tyler Peterson comes up short. Omaha back in front now after the 2 free throws from Hahn. 69-68. JT Gibson with it. Working on Simpson.
Well defended that time by Simpson.
Moody at 6'8", bringing it all the way up. Tough shot there.
My goodness. Moody gets a head of steam like that, and he is really difficult to shut down one-on-one.
Yet another lead change here. South Dakota back in front by 1. And KJ Robinson spots up and drills the 3.
Hey, he's just hit some really timely baskets in this game for Omaha when they've needed some big buckets.
A quiet 13 points, couple of triples for him on as many attempts. Peterson's pass deflected up off the shot clock, so it'll stay with South Dakota. And Trey Burch-Manning now does come back into the game with 6:28 to go. And remember, he's got the 4 fouls, so Todd Lee going to his senior here, trusting him to try and close this thing out. USD has done most of its damage here in the second half without him, almost all of it, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, we'll see if he can get going offensively at all.
15-footer for Amude. Speaking of heating up, Stanley Amude eclipses the 20-point mark for the 7th time this season. Remember, he's coming off a career-high 32-point effort in last week's loss at Purdue Fort Wayne. And here's Pyle. They go right at Trey Burch-Manning, who plays it well, stays vertical, and Pyle got a little too aggressive on the offensive glass that time, swatted it into his own bench.
I thought that was a good decision, though, by Omaha. Go right at Trey Burch-Manning, see if you can get an easy one against him, knowing that he doesn't want to foul out. Pyle just left it a hair short.
Peterson kicks to the corner. Kelly, one more pass to Simpson. That one comes up short. Akinwole soars up for the rebound.
This game's gotten tighter. You've seen Omaha not really wanting to get out and run too much, trying to value possessions here.
Jackson had to hitch that one.
Just a really poor shot there. He felt he got fouled. Got to call something there.
Yeah, there was a lot of contact there, and it was 2 officials kind of making eye contact. You going to call it, or am I going to call it? All right, let's call something.
Yeah, the last thing these officials want is the dreaded Blarge call, where one has a block, one has a charge. It looked like a block that time to me.
Well, that'll put on Tristan Simpson, rather, at the free throw line for a 1-and-1, 8th team foul for the Mavericks. 3rd personal, or excuse me, 2nd personal on Akinwole.
Certainly, the free throw line could play a huge role in this game, given all the fouls, and both these teams really are very good free throw shooters.
Simpson, 85% in conference play at the stripe.
Gets here a ton, almost 5 times a game.
never fails. You mentioned something like that, and the next one goes off. But South Dakota does get back in front, 73-72. Simpson now 4 of 5 at the line. He's got 14 points. Hahn has his shot swatted away by Amude. Tristan Simpson in transition, dumps it off. Kelly for 3. Oh my, what a roll. Timeout, Darren Hansen. That is what you call shooter's touch. Coyote fans on their feet in .org/tickets. This game's got a bit of a tournament feel all of a sudden to it, the way this second half has unfolded tonight.
How about South Dakota and how well they have scored the ball here in this second half? They put 43 points on the board. Gee, they've already got 76. We've got a lot of game left. They only average 70 a game.
Coyotes coming on the double team here out of the timeout.
Yeah, they've really blown up Omaha's ball screen action here in the second half by doing that.
Gibson, Stanley Amude put that in the second row of the seats over there. This is violent stuff for the sophomore out of San Antonio.
Back-to-back swats.
Oh, the attitude, too, off the block that time. He knew it. Leanne Williamson, the volleyball coach at South Dakota, might have taken note of that one.
Only 2 seconds here for Omaha.
Robinson has to hoist one up, and it's a shot clock violation. Great finish to that possession defensively for South Dakota. Get the big block from Amude, then didn't lose sight of anybody there on the short shot clock.
This is really going to put Omaha to the test. This veteran group here now on the road. Tough environment, you're down 4.
Kelly, little floater is good. Kelly's had a nice night offensively, Brad. He's got 18 points.
Now, it all started from the three-point line for him, but that was a beautiful finish off the drive that time.
That, by the way, ties his season high for South Dakota. Gibson can't find it. Now Omaha struggling a little bit on the offensive end. South Dakota, though, playing very, very well on that end of the floor.
Yeah, Omaha just 1 for their last 8. Haven't scored now in almost 3 minutes. This is the run we were talking about. Could USD lock them down for a little stretch?
You do not see Omaha go on droughts like that very often. This is a high-powered offense. Wanted to travel there on the drive by Moon. I think they had a case.
Definitely.
Simpson, contested shot and a tough one. Robinson, another big one there. That would have been huge had that drop, but offensive board for Akinwole. Now here's Jackson over the top of Peterson. And a timeout for Darren Hansen. Half, Brad, built that 18-point lead. And USD, thanks to some extremely hot shooting, especially when you look at what they've done to this point this season, let alone conference play. This is far outside the norm for Todd Lee's Coyotes.
South Dakota is shooting 73% in this second half, but the more important number is they've hit 11 of 23 from the three-point line. They've been terrific from there.
And Amude in the midst of another outstanding effort. He draws the foul on Mitch Hahn. And that will put Amude at the free throw line. Still a 1-on-1 situation. That's the 19th foul now and the 4th personal on Mitch Hahn. So we talk about Trey Birch-Manning and his foul trouble. That's every bit as large of a situation there for the Mavericks.
Yeah, they cannot afford to lose Mitch Hahn when they are trailing in this game. They need all the offensive firepower they can have on the floor.
Amude is 3 of 4. They get 4 of 5 at the strike tonight, and he earns the bonus.
It's 14 of 17 from the free throw line as well. They've done a great job as a team.
You mentioned earlier, Stanley scored 15 points all year last year. He had 32 last week. He's got 21 tonight, Brad. He's the largest point per game increase in the country this year at plus 12.9.
Yeah, what he has done has just been terrific. And wasn't certainly expected when he came into the season, but I mean, where would South Dakota be without him and what he's done offensively?
Especially in the face of all those injuries. KJ Robinson stepping to the free throw line now for Omaha. And he misses the first. Talked about Brad, Omaha's an outstanding free throw shooting team. And they were 9 of 12 in the first half. Now 16 of 23 for the ball game.
And a tight one like this, those really get magnified.
Omaha showing some pressure here. Off the make from Robinson. Coyotes handle it well. Into the front court now with Peterson. He'll give way to Simpson, who sets up the offense.
Here, South Dakota trying to shorten this game, and I think that's a good decision, but you still do have to stay aggressive now.
Mude rises up off the dribble, and Akinwole pulls down the rebound.
No reason to panic, though, right now if you're Omaha. They're trying to get Jackson a touch, but good job taking that away.
Rich Manning, how about the job he's done playing with those 4 fouls? Another block inside by Mude. 2 guys to the deck hard, and a foul called on Stanley Mude. Both those guys going for the basketball. This is a tough one for sure.
First of all, Mude just has really become a huge rim protector. I don't know, those 2 players got tangled up. Loose ball there. I almost say, gosh, let them play.
That's a brutal call.
Yeah, I almost feel like,
if anything, Akinwole had his arm wrapped around Amude's.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, but now Akinwole to the free throw line.
yeah, I think most people that are watching a game like this would just assume see that be a play-on situation. I mean, you got 2 guys just scrapping for it there. That's a huge call that goes against South Dakota that time.
Really good news out of that situation for the Coyotes. It is just the second so far on Mude. Coyotes break the pressures. We go under 2 minutes to play in the ball game, in regulation anyway. Coyotes protecting a 3-point lead, 80-77. USD 6-1 this year, Brad, when they scored 80 points. Peterson, top of the key 3. That won't go. Offensive rebound for Birch Manning. Kicks it back out, and the Coyotes can reset with an extra possession. Todd Lee telling them to hold up.
This is fine to try to shorten the game, but then when it's go time, you really got to attack, though.
Timeout for Todd Lee with 15 seconds on the shot clock, 1:14 on the game clock. It will be a full timeout. Each team with 1 remaining.
Yeah, South Dakota's trying to run the clock, which is understandable here. I mean, you've played a great game up to this point. Try to shorten it up, but it has gotten them a little bit stagnant now here offensively.
Clock tip times both days for those 2. So Tyler Peterson comes over to inbound the basketball with 1:14 remaining in regulation. And the Coyotes still in front, 80-77. Simpson. Here's Mude now. Handoff goes to Peterson. He throws it away. Not a good turnover for USD.
Yeah, you could tell they were feeling the panic there of the shot clock. There was only 15 seconds when they inbounded the ball, and they just were running out of time.
Omaha can tie it up with a 3 here.
If you're Omaha, you want to attack, though, here.
It's wide open for Jackson. Left it short. Mude lucky that time that Jackson didn't go into his body because he had left his feet. And that would have been an easy foul situation there. Chance at a 3-point play. Instead, now South Dakota comes back, draws the foul on KJ Robinson, and 2 free throws here for Tristan Simpson. That is the 10th team foul for the Mavericks. So 2 shots rest of the way for both of these teams. And we've got 47.1 remaining in regulation. Simpson, 5 of 6 at the stripe tonight.
I'm not sure, Jay, if I was Omaha there, if I would have fouled on that possession. I think he could have defended
Played it out, yeah.
Played it out. You just put a great free throw shooter on the line here now. You're going to find yourself down.
Two-possession game as a result.
Exactly.
So again, both teams have 1 timeout remaining. And Simpson gets them both, so the lead back to 5 for USD. They've led by no more than 6 at any point tonight. All of that coming since halftime. JT Gibson, catch and shoot. Rebound for Mude, and he's going to be fouled on the floor. No, excuse me, they're going to call that on Cody Kelly instead. And so now Omaha will get to shoot with 38.9 remaining.
Officials, first of all, they're going to go look at the monitor just to see what kind of contact might have occurred on the foul as well. But yeah, this was a situation where Omaha, I mean, they were sending
Holding call. So the foul goes to Kelly. Common foul, so 2 free throws here for Akinwole. Again, both teams in the double bonus with 38.9 seconds remaining.
Yeah, they were just double checking to make sure that the offensive player wasn't hooking and holding there and trying to draw that foul.
It's the first of the 2 for Akinwole. Sophomore out of Papillion, Nebraska. Came in averaging about 19 minutes per game. Has played some crucial, critical minutes here late tonight for Darren Hansen. He's out there now with 38.9 seconds remaining. Gets them both to make it a 3-point game, and Omaha is going to pressure on the inbound.
You could press in the backcourt now. I wouldn't foul Simpson right away, in my opinion. I mean, he's a great free throw shooter. I would make USD have to break the press first.
Well, and to be honest, I mean, right now, you look at, I mean, it's a 30-second possession. You still have 9 seconds coming back. And so, I mean, but that foul happened right away, and they're going to play it out this way. And Simpson back to the free throw line. Strategy worked this time. This one to make it a 2-possession game. Big one here for Tristan Simpson, junior out of Lincoln, Nebraska. Gets the second one. 4-point lead with 38 seconds remaining in regulation. Simpson there to force KJ Robinson to pick up the basketball and start the clock. Swinging out, Jackson. Got Amude to leave his feet, then hits the 3 to make it a 1-point game, and a timeout for Darren Hansen. 83-82 with 29.5 seconds remaining. So Darren Hansen obviously knew what he was doing because they foul. They get 1 of 2 free throws instead of both. And then his senior standout, Zach Jackson, buries a tough 3 in the face of Stanley Amude to bring the Mavericks within 1.
Well, I really thought Jackson would drive it after he got Amude off the ground, but I'll tell you, the senior hit a clutch shot there, no question about it.
Well, you got to expect, given the way things just played out here a moment ago, that Omaha's going to be looking to foul immediately.
Certainly Omaha's an offensive-minded team. You know, if the game's on the line, they would much rather rely on their offense to have to get a basket to try to win it or tie it or something like that than try to rely on a defensive stop. And so from that end, understandable.
This close game thing is nothing new for South Dakota. It's been a huge theme of their season, Brad. They lost 4 of their last 5 games overall coming into the night. 3 of those have been decided by 7 or less. Well, 9 of their 13 losses this season have been decided by 7 or less, including the first matchup with the Mavericks down in Omaha on January 2nd. Coyotes 3-9 this year in games decided by 10 points or fewer.
Yeah, it's been one of those years. There's just been a lot of that for USD. A year, I think, when you have a lot of injuries, you're shorthanded. You know, a lot of times you may not see a lot of those games tip your way. They're certainly hoping this one does, because they've certainly played well in this second half.
Tyler Peterson can run the baseline, tries to get it in. It's knocked out of bounds by Akinwole.
This is where it's going to get tricky now, because this becomes a spot throw-in.
And Akinwole putting up the international sign for review it, spinning the finger, and they're going to go to the monitor to take a look to make sure that Omaha was in fact the last to touch it. Brandon Armstrong was the one there for South Dakota. That's where the inbound was going. And it's got to be definitive, and they're going to stick with the call. Remember, it's got to be indisputable evidence to overturn. And right there, given the camera angles that we have available and the officials have available to them, everything on the opposite of the bench side. And so there's no camera over there to see the opposite side of Brandon Armstrong's hand. So it would have to be very, very obvious for them to overturn that. And they stick with the original call. Coyotes get it into Simpson. He's trying to break the pressure, get into the front court. There's the foul. But he does manage to burn about 5 seconds off the game clock. So Simpson back to the free throw line yet again. This is the guy the Coyotes want there. Tyler Peterson would be another very good option.
Sure.
But Simpson has been the guy down the stretch here who's had the opportunities for the Coyotes. Made 1 of 2 in his last trip. Needs them both to make it a 3-point game. Obviously, it'll stay 1 possession regardless. And with the way Omaha can shoot it, that is certainly not a safe lead.
No, they're a terrific 3-point shooting team. Players all over the floor with this lineup that can all shoot it well from there.
So Simpson gets them both. It's 85-82. Here comes KJ Robinson. Looking for Hahn, backdoor finds it, and he lays it in. 16 and a half to go. It's again a 1-point ball game. Again, the Coyotes get it into Simpson, and again he is fouled. So we'll do this same song and dance again with 15 seconds remaining in regulation.
Jay, credit Tristan Simpson for getting open and being the guy that's continuing to go to the line as you see Hahn's basket. But Simpson being a great leader for this South Dakota team and not shying away, wanting to go get that basketball, wanting to be the guy in this situation right now.
Simpson 9 of 11 at the stripe tonight. Again, looking to stretch that lead to 3.
Omaha out of timeouts. I think at this point, if you're Darren Hansen, you got to start thinking about a 3-point shot.
Again, Coyotes keeping everybody back out of the lane. Simpson the only one there. And he gets them both. How about that in the face of this situation? Todd Lee now using his final timeout, but the tournament as of now, just 2 wins in conference play for Joe Rosga and the Pioneers. A couple of critical games up in Fargo on Saturday.
Here's the big decision for South Dakota. If they can get Omaha to run some clock, do you think about fouling on purpose? Don't let Omaha get a 3-point attempt.
There's Hahn, same play that developed in Omaha. Hahn, got it! Peterson has to move or we're gonna go to overtime. Peterson at the buzzer, counts it and goes, and it's short. We're gonna have bonus basketball in Sioux Falls. Mitch Hahn, the senior, with a huge.
Cody Kelly has fouled out of this game, I should mention as well, also for USD.
Got 3 players from Omaha with 4 fouls. Hahn, Akinwole, and Tutt. You got Kelly out of the game and Birch Manning with 4 for South Dakota. Pyle back out there now. He'll jump it up with Stanley Amude. And Amude wins the tap, and we're underway in overtime. Tied at 87. South Dakota put up 54 points in that second half, but it was only enough to tie it. As Peterson's 3 off the back iron there to start.
Not sure that's the shot South Dakota wanted with that much time still left on the shot clock.
KJ Robinson, as Omaha goes on the attack, they strike first in the extra session.
Robinson's been terrific. He's got 16 points now.
Nice find, Amude. Much higher percentage look inside for Peterson this time.
Yeah, just a good set there. And got Peterson on that back screen along the baseline.
Robinson wanted to go to the rim again. Coyotes closed it off this time. Catch inside, and Simpson fouls Pyle. So 2 free throws now coming up for Pyle.
Darren Hansen, in the kind of big-time stretch of the second half here, the last 5 minutes, he didn't have Pyle in the game. Just trying to get up matchup-wise. USD playing a smaller lineup, but he's gone back here to Pyle to start the overtime, and a good job getting him a paint touch.
Pyle gets the friendly bounce off the window. That was, by the way, that was the 4th personal on Tristan Simpson. So now him and Trey Birch Manning each with 4. And Pyle, again, not a great free throw shooter, 64%. But it gets them both here. And the Mavericks are back on top, 91-89.
Those 2 huge makes. He looked very uncomfortable the last time he was at the line, but got those to go. but it needs to work it here. Make Omaha have to guard you for some stretches here and see if you can get him to break down.
Mude way too strong with Hahn right in his face, and a foul on the rebound will go against Birch Manning. That's it for him.
A couple really empty possessions here offensively for USD to start the overtime. They got one good look around the rim, but this is not the shot they're looking for. And really, if you're Trey Birch Manning, don't even risk it there.
Tops are going to bring in Matt Johns to replace Birch Manning.
I think they've got to go with Johns here because they got to have someone that can match up with Matt Pyle inside. Johns certainly has enough size.
And Pyle repeat what he did just a couple of moments ago as he steps back to the free throw line for two more.
Yeah, you said, I mean, he's not a great free throw shooter. He improved a lot from where he was last year. He was like around 35% last year. He's into the 60s this year.
No trouble here. One or two on this trip. And there's a foul there on KJ Robinson. He kind of reached in on Amude, and so we'll march it down to the other end, shoot some free throws.
Just a really poor decision that time by Robinson. No need for that, and now you're putting Amude on the line for two free throws and no time coming off the clock. Amude again has just been terrific in this game. See the 22 points, leading USD again in scoring.
Misses them both on this trip. Critical misses at the stripe.
If you're USD, you got to start locking in here now. This is a really crucial defensive possession for you if you're the Coyotes.
Omaha going to take some time here, get what they want on the offensive end, up three. Robinson closed off on the double team. Here's Hahn. Hit the big shot to force overtime, and now he's called for his fifth foul on the charge.
One of those players was going to foul out, and it ends up being Hahn.
So that's the third player to foul out of this ball game. South Dakota has two with Cody Kelly and Trey Birch Manning. And now Mitch Hahn, who hit the huge shot at the end of regulation to get us here, will have to spend the final 3:06 watching. And no free throws on the offensive foul. So the Coyotes will have to earn any points they get on this possession.
You see this a lot of times in these overtime games. It becomes a game of attrition in which team can keep the most players on the floor.
And two shots coming here for Amude as a big, strong tape. Boy, he hit the lane, Brad, with some speed about him, didn't he?
Yeah, this was a really nice set because they got Amude with some momentum going to the rim.
Had a chance a moment ago to hit a couple of free throws and missed them both. It's the first. Mude again, 69% at the stripe on the season. 1 of 2 on this trip. It's a 2-point ball game, 92-90. Under 3 minutes to play in the first overtime.
Free throw line overall have been pretty good to USD so far, but 1 for 4 for Amude in his last two possessions has given Omaha still now a chance to get a 2-possession lead here.
Woolley looking inside for Pyle. He passes out to Robinson. Dishes off. Pyle to the rim, plus the foul. That'll go against Johns, and Pyle has started to play very well here in the overtime. Been a big part of the plan. Hadn't been a big factor tonight, but he's been a huge part of the story here in the extra session for the Mavericks.
Yeah, especially now with Mitch Hahn fouled out of this game. Great job by Pyle, catching and finishing strong. Now can he convert from the line?
Gets the roll. Lead is 5 for Omaha. Under 2.5 to play.
That's gigantic. Gets this to 2 possessions. A lot of pressure now on South Dakota to answer.
Kyle come over. He disrupted that shot in a big way without making contact.
Yes. And then went and got the defensive rebound. He has been the difference so far in this overtime, without question. Omaha now with a 3-guard lineup. A lot of good ball handlers on the floor for them.
Jackson rims off. Armstrong the rebound. Kyle still got to get something going offensively. One of their last 8 from the field. They're going to go to their big gun, Amude. He's going to kick it out. Armstrong spots up for 3. It's too long.
Yeah, unfortunately for South Dakota, the wells kind of started to run dry on the 3-point line. It had been so good to them for most of this game. But credit Omaha on that last possession, Jay. They were not going to let Amude get a great look at the rim. They forced him to have to pass while bringing the double team.
There's the foul on John. So 2 free throws coming up for Robinson. 3rd personal for Johns. And Omaha getting close to ice it here, you would think, with 1:06 on the clock. It's going to take, at the very least, some made shots at the other end for South Dakota, something they've been struggling with here. Been scoreless for almost 2 minutes here of the overtime.
He's only scored 3 points this overtime, 1 for 5. And yeah, their back is square against the wall here with just 1:06 to play now.
Robinson gets them both, and it's a 7-point ball game.
Can't panic though. You still got to get a good look here.
Amude can't find it for 3. Now the fight for the rebound, and Zach Jackson's going to pick up the foul. There's been a couple of tough ones on those 50-50 balls.
Yeah.
Is that one? It looked like Amude maybe more. You know, you remember the one toward the end of regulation where he got popped for that. It looked like Akinwole was the aggressor. This time it looked like Amude was, and that Jackson had the better position.
Yeah, it's hard to figure here. I mean, these players, they're getting tangled up. They're going hard for the basketball. At that time, in the officials' estimation, Jackson was the perpetrator who pulled Amude to the ground.
So Stanley back to the free throw line. He's 6 of 10 tonight. And another miss.
He's been pretty solid there this year. Mid 70%, but when his team's needed it here in OT, it hasn't been there.
Gets the second. Coyotes now want to pressure on the inbound. 55.9 seconds remaining. And Tyler Peterson gets the call.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to pressure Omaha with this line. They've got 3 great guards, and Peterson just got real physical there. I don't think he was trying to foul. South Dakota's going to have to extend this game, just like Omaha did at the end of regulation. And Omaha was able to erase a 5-point deficit in about the same amount of time, so it's not out of the question. But South Dakota's going to need to hit some threes. That's what the Mavs ended up doing to get this thing to OT.
Hey, remember Zach Jackson hit a big one, and then Mitch Hahn hit an even bigger one to send us to overtime. And credit to Mavericks, it looked bleak for them. And South Dakota had control there, even though the lead never got real big. It felt like they kind of had the game in hand, and Omaha played it perfectly down the stretch. Simpson for 3, that won't go. Jackson is going to be fouled on the rebound, so we'll go back to the other end, and the Mavericks, if they hadn't already, looked like they could about put this one away.
South Dakota was 11 of 25 from the 3-point line in regulation, and you know, by their standards and what they've been this season as a 3-point shooting team, I mean, that's out of their league. They usually have not shot it that well, but in the OTJ, just 0 for 4. Unfortunately, that's kind of going to be their doom, is just not being able to get a few more of those to fall.
Jackson, another huge night for him tonight. 11th time that he's scored 20 or more in a ball game. Still well off with 27. His season high at 33 against Montana State. Well, there's a three for Brandon Armstrong. And Todd Lee uses a timeout with 38.3 seconds remaining. South Dakota facing a 6-point overtime session. Zach Jackson can move the baseline here on the inbound as the Coyotes pressure full court. Jackson gets it into Akinwole, and now Armstrong's just got to catch up to try and commit the foul. He does, and Akinwole goes down hard to the floor. He'll step back up and go to the free throw line.
Omaha's been terrific here from the line in the overtime. They're 9 of 11. Jay, they've hit 30 free throws in this game. You look at 100 points, so 30 of them have come from the free throw line. Well, this official Kelly Fire, I mean, he's got to do it all here.
Jack of all trades, really. Akinwole slid about 15 feet there once he hit the floor. Might have left a little moisture along the way.
Yep. These are, again, magnified free throws. If South Dakota can get a few misses for Omaha, it certainly leaves the door open.
Oh boy, where South Dakota has needed free throws and not been able to hit them here in the overtime, Omaha has been calm, cool, and collected at the stripe.
Yeah, they've certainly looked like the veteran team that they are when it comes to that.
Akinwole gets a pair. The lead is 8 with 34.8 seconds remaining. And Robinson knew it immediately. He fouled a jump shooter. Coaching 101. Never do that, right?
Aaron Hansen probably will have to strangle him right now, I think. That is the worst thing that you can do as a defender in this situation. I mean, why even trying to slap at the basketball there? Just get a hand up, contest, don't foul. Make Armstrong have to hit a tough three. If he does, so be it.
Yeah, if he does, you still have a 2-possession lead. And they're not getting closer with no time coming off the clock.
Exactly. And the other thing is now, if Armstrong can make this last free throw, give South Dakota a chance to set their press. They don't have a timeout. You just put a lot of things like that into play.
Does not get the roll. Still one more coming. Boy, it's quiet in here.
I think everyone's exhausted. We're going on almost 2.5 hours here for this game. There's been a ton of free throws shot in this game. 76 of them there, if I'm counting right.
Foul will go against Armstrong, and Robinson to the other end to shoot free throws.
And we're going to add to that total.
And that's 5 on Brandon Armstrong. So Logan Power, who has not played here in the second half, played about a minute in the first half, up off the bench for USD.
Now we talked, Omaha likes a high possession game. This thing's been high possession. I mean, you look at all the free throws. Each team's taken 60 shots in this game. I mean, there's been lots of scoring opportunities. And to my surprise, really, South Dakota kind of got caught up in that second half, Jay, playing that way, but it worked for them. And they were almost able to win this thing in regulation.
Quarter, here's Power, steps back, knocks down the triple, ice cold off the bench.
No doubt.
And he drills a fairly important shot there for South Dakota. It's a 5-point deficit. More free throws. Mude fouls Akinwole.
You got to do this if you're South Dakota. At least force Omaha to have to prove it here at the line. And if you're Omaha, all you got to do is just focus on knocking a couple of these more in, and that should be enough to put it away.
Akinwole 8 points on the night. He's 6 of 6 at the free throw line. Make it 7-7.
Yeah.
He's hit some, and they've been big ones for him.
Yeah, I think Omaha's gotten great performances out of all three of their guards. Gibson, Akinwole, Robinson, they've all played terrific to complement what Hahn and Jackson have done.
106.99 your scores. Tristan Simpson. We're going to do it again. Tristan Simpson for three. 106-102. Still 12.9 seconds remaining. Akinwole. And this foul will go against Stanley Amude. That'll be his fourth.
You can't give up right now if you're USD, because even if there's 2 free throws here, you get another 3. It's like if you get this thing to 1 possession with some time on the clock, you just never know at that point.
Yeah, he hits both here. It's an 8-point game. You come down and hit a 3. Boy, that changes things dramatically.
I mean, I know it's kind of a drag to see the game end like this, but
you get a miss here.
Yeah, I mean, the door is still open. I mean,
stranger things have happened. I'm
yeah,
sure.
we've seen definitely crazy endings that have ended in stuff like this.
So Akinwole gets the second 5-point game. Simpson. Contested 3 this time. That's off the back iron. Won't go. JT Gibson the rebound, and Omaha's going to dribble it out and get out of here with a win, and a thrilling one at that. Mitch Hahn forces